Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 72. Happy Saturday, happy weekend. We have a very special show today.
Yes. It's a special Thursday night edition of Monday Night Football at a special time. No one remembers that from back in the 80s when they would do that.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, they'd have football on all the time now, but they would have, every so often, they'd have Monday Night Football on Thursday nights, and it would start earlier and whatnot. And of course, the famous story of that was the Bears coming back from like 3 touchdowns down to beat the Vikings with Jim McMahon coming off the bench wearing his flak jacket because he had like broken ribs. You had to be there at the time. That was the Super Bowl season. That was the 85 season.
Yeah, and they haven't done well since.
Correct.
But today, for those of you who've been following along, it was a huge day for us.
It's a big day, a red letter day.
We got tattoos today. So we talked about it in the fall, kind of like towards the holiday season. We're like, should we do it? Should we not do it? And we're just like, let's just do it.
I had to wear my Clash t-shirt because it seemed appropriate for the event.
Yes. So where we live, there's actually a tattoo artist who is literally like a 2-minute walk from our house. It's a parlor that's been there for a long time. We looked him up, looked at his Instagram, Facebook, and things like that. And then we did go for a consultation,
Right.
just to, as I joke, to see, like, are you guys too old for this, or...
Right. It's like when you're Catholic and you get married, you have to go through the pre-Cana thing where
Right.
you meet and talk about whether you're ready to get married. Similar concept.
Very similar concept. So we gave him our ideas, everything. So before we got there today, he'd already, like, had everything that he needed to do.
Yeah, stencil for each one that he first
So,
hand drew the design.
This one's mine.
Lovely.
Yes, I love it.
And mine's a little bit bigger. I don't know if you can really see it that well. It's my guitar, my Fender Telecaster, and of course they're covered in like a plastic bandage.
Yeah,
so
we have to wear like this plastic thing for a day. You have to wear yours for several days, and then just kind of like peel it off, wash it, put like Aquaphor on it or something like that while it heals. Lotion. Of some sort. So I am not gonna lie, I was super nervous about it just because I just didn't know what to expect, and And obviously mine is super small, so I knew it wasn't going to be like an hours long thing like yours was.
Yeah.
So I give kudos to you, man, because I don't think I could have done it for as long as you did, because it does kind of hurt.
It does. Mine took about 3 hours.
Yeah.
We were there probably for a total of close to 4 hours.
But the guy could not have been nicer. Yeah. And the music was great. So
that was kind of funny too, because he had his own Spotify playlist, and it was sort of appropriate for the the event.
And the ambiance was great.
Yeah, we when we walked into there's like a little foyer area, and then his studio is over to the side. And we go into the studio. What song was playing?
The Clash.
London Calling by the Clash. So that was quite appropriate.
So I ended up going first. Although I was going to go first anyway, but then he said ladies first when we got there. Probably because mine was going to take not as long as yours.
Because you thought I was going to cry. You were convinced that I was going to make a scene, cry, and then pass out.
Yeah. So I better get mine done.
Right.
And then we could just leave.
Yeah, exactly. You knew yours would go smoothly.
Mine's going to be secure.
Right.
And then I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to abandon you. No, I'm just kidding. It couldn't have gone smoother. So
I hardly cried at all.
So at least mine, like I said, wasn't maybe a half hour, 25 minutes or half hour was mine. So.
I think it was at least a half hour.
Mm-hmm.
But it went quickly. It's just that he's very careful. I mean, he's an artist, and he's
you don't want to make mistakes and things like that.
Exactly.
So you can't really tell, but it's royal blue, and then it has like a little highlight of light blue around it. So
it's very cool.
I'm happy with it. And actually, when David and I first decided to get tattoos, like I knew I wanted to get like a symbol or something. Like I knew I didn't want like a butterfly or a flower or anything like that. And so when I just started looking, this was the very first one that I saw. Yet I looked at other ones on Pinterest, on Instagram, and things like that. And I always came back to this one. And so I'm like, well, then just choose that. So I think it's something, if you keep going back to the same thing, then it's probably a good idea.
And I guess, I definitely was leaning towards something music related, but I wasn't entirely sure. And then I settled on the guitar. And I had taken some pictures of my guitar, in the stand against the wall, and we texted him the pictures. You texted a picture of the design you wanted, and so he made these stencils. And so the first part, if you've never done it before, is like he put the stencil on first, so that he had a clear, image to work off of, and then he did the ink over the stencil.
I did notice though, it's kind of like how he kept on referring to the photo too, like, so he was always making like the details,
right.
Not only of like what
right.
it's not just like, oh, I'm just gonna cover the stencils. It's really like paying attention to like what the picture was and getting all the shading right and everything like that. So that was a big part of it too. It's just I mean, it's an artist, so they like to do things like that.
And I have to point out, mine it looks very red. That's just, my skin. My skin is very sensitive.
Yeah. And it's
just like me, I'm a very sensitive person. My skin is a little sensitive. But, so it won't be red like that. That's just from...
Yeah.
And the redness here is actually filled in, but it'll be a much lighter color when it gets back to normal. So that's what takes so long with a tattoo like this, is that, it's not just the outline, it's filling it in.
Yeah.
And it was a little intense, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it was definitely a little intense. And
and you could sometimes glance over and look at what he was doing. Since mine was right here, I couldn't actually. In fact, he wanted me to look that way, so I was looking at David mostly. The whole time I was gazing into your eyes.
I was looking at my phone. I wasn't paying any attention.
And I was like, "Hey," no, just kidding.
Over here.
So I couldn't really see what he was doing, but at least David got an idea of like how the needle looked like, and how it was going and stuff like that.
Well, and I watched him do yours, so I mean that was also the advantage of going the second time. However, I have to point out, you were saying while he was doing it, he asked, it was okay and whatnot, and you said, it doesn't feel bad at all. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you've had 3 children. Your concept of pain is not necessarily the same as mine. So
yeah, that's a little intense.
At first I felt reassured, and then I thought, wait a minute, maybe this isn't
a good comparison.
Yeah.
But yeah.
However, I've broken my collarbone, so
that's true.
That
I've never broken a bone, so that's true.
My sense is, and I'd love to. I mean, it'd be horrible if someone had to go through both of these things. But I would love to find out if someone has both given birth to a child and broken their collarbone, how the 2 levels of pain compare.
Right.
Because this was like fainting level of pain.
And you can't do anything there's no cast or anything, so you just have to keep it in a sling.
The worst part was when they made me sit up for the x-ray. They didn't have me laying down. Now, I don't know why, but I was in so much agony, I wasn't really going to question it. So I'm sitting there for the x-ray, and they're like, no, you have to sit all the way back. Well, that's what hurt. If I was hunched over, I had a little bit of relief from the pain. So that's when I, honest to God, nearly did pass out from that. But I did not pass out from the tattoo. And I did not cry at all. And actually, I want you to confirm
definitely
on camera that I didn't cry.
I 100% can confirm. But the one thing that I don't think either one of us thought was like how long it would take, kind of thing. Yeah. So at one point, a suggestion was made, if David wanted to he could do the outline and then come back another time. But then it was just like, well, we're here. And
he said it might be another 2 hours. And at that point, we were probably 2 hours in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it's not, I think it's not uncommon to do a larger tattoo in a couple of stages. But, once he started filling in, at that point, he had done most of the outline, and there's a lot of reflection, so you can't tell, but there's a pick guard on the guitar, a black pick guard, and he had mostly filled that in. And that was kind of that part was kind of intense. And I'm like, well, first of all, he's an artist. I don't really want to interrupt what he's doing. If he's comfortable just getting it done, I'd rather,
definitely
just let him get it done because he knows what he's doing. And then secondly, I'm like, I'm okay with it. And if I had to come back another time, would I then start to think twice about it? I don't know. Probably I would not have. But it just seemed to make sense at that point.
Let's just finish
it
out.
And it did not take another 2 hours.
No.
It was probably about another hour. And we took a couple breaks here and there. So.
And I think also that I think it would have been harder to like heal from it and then go back and then have to heal again all over again. So
right, yeah, and and then there's all the other complications. Like if we set up an appointment and then something else came up and this and that and the other thing, you just never know. And it's a weird way to look at it, but to me, it was kind of like it's an interesting sort of mental exercise. Because it was kind of an intense experience. It was kind of like, well, in a weird sort of way, I kind of felt like, well, this is good. I mean, it's good. It's a good mental thing to go through because you have to, sit very still and you can't react to any discomfort or whatever.
Right.
So anyway, I thought it was a good test. Again, kind of like a mental test to go through.
You did fantastic.
I know that sounds like really stupid, but that was sort of.
No, I mean you have to put yourself in that kind of like mind frame to be like, okay, this is, and mine wasn't even that as bad as yours, but.
The other funny thing about it to me is like, I've thought about it, tattoos from time to time over the year, but I have kind of skinny arms. I'm very self-conscious of that. Because a lot of times you see tattoos on guys, they have big arms, and it looks more impressive. So I was kind of like self-conscious about it. And now I'm like, screw it, I don't care.
Exactly, yeah.
Even when he just put the stencil on before he started, I'm like, I don't know, I love it. I don't care. I'm doing it.
This is happening.
Yeah. So I kind of just decided, who cares,
I know, and especially like it's something that's meaningful for you. So I mean, it's something that is not something that you're a year from now or 2 years from now you're going to be like, why the hell did I do that kind of thing.
And I think we talked about this when we first talked about doing tattoos. people will always say, especially if it's a younger person getting a tattoo, well, what's it going to look like when you're in your 70s or whatever. There's a picture, and I think the picture itself was taken maybe in the 1920s or something like that, it's the King of Sweden, don't ask me his name, probably Gustav something or other. And it's a picture of him without his shirt on, and he's covered in tattoos. I'm exaggerating. He's got multiple tattoos, and at that point he's like probably 80 years old. And he looks fantastic.
Yeah.
He looks like a complete badass. And you're like, okay, if this is what you're going to look like,
I'll take it.
So.
That's funny.
I'll have to look that up. But yeah, I saw someone on, Facebook or some other social media posted that picture, and I thought,
I'm actually going to look and see what date we did we talked about getting the tattoos.
The other thing that I thought was good, well, first of all, I mean, I think his demeanor, this Bob, the guy at Burning Sparrow, that's the name of the tattoo shop.
Which we will tag.
His demeanor was really great. He was very low-key, conversational, it was just easy to just talk or not talk. Obviously you're not going to have a conversation for 4 straight hours, but we did talk a fair amount. But the other thing that was really good is he had a really good, we talked about this soundtrack, he had a Spotify playlist, and it was perfect for the mood because it was sort of like alternative rock. So there's a lot of, Clash and the Pixies and a bunch of bands that I'm familiar with, for the Smiths and things like that. But it wasn't like over the edge, like hardcore. And he had said at one point that he worked in a shop where they like to play a lot of metal. And he's like, nothing wrong with the music, but he goes, you guys are going to kill somebody one of these days, because the music was really intense, right? So this was kind of like a perfect, a balance of, you kind of want something that's a little bit edgy because you're getting a tattoo, and you want to feel cool and everything like that. But I'm kind of glad it wasn't, Iron Maiden and
for a long time.
Black Sabbath and
I highly enjoyed the soundtrack. It was really good. It was good. And the other thing that was a plus is it was warm in there, which was good.
That's
because it's like 8 degrees outside, and then we hung up our jackets and it was above a radiator, and so when we were leaving, like my jacket was like super warm on the inside.
Right, and you, because I had to wear a t-shirt, you had to wear a tank top, so you can't wear heavy clothing. If you're getting a tattoo.
And that was the other thing I was worried about. I'm like, I don't want to be cold, like just being, because then that's just like another thing you've got to worry about. So, we're very glad that it's over.
Definitely glad it's over. And I don't mean, I would never want to scare somebody away from doing it. So
no.
I don't want to overemphasize like the discomfort or whatever, but everyone's going to be a little bit different, and it's different where if there's some places that are going to be less sensitive than others. Unfortunately, I chose a large surface area.
Yeah.
So there was both.
Right. Yeah. This
more sensitive and less
this.
sensitive places.
And this was like okay, but it was just there were parts that was just like a little bit more, just kind of like tinged a little bit more.
Yeah.
But all in all, I think it was it was a great experience,
Yeah,
and I'm glad
definitely
we did something so badass today. We joined a club of other people who have tattoos, so we're happy to join your club now.
I don't know how many.
I don't know if there's meetings about that,
right,
or if there's any kind of like, meetings.
He
clubs.
didn't teach us the secret handshake.
Yeah, we don't
so
know
I
the
don't,
secret
I don't
handshake. So we'll see. I mean, I don't envision getting another one anytime soon, and I'm not going to say
You're gonna get my name across your back.
Yeah, that's what I was joking with our daughter that David decided just to get Jennifer on his.
Well, I have another one. I got two, but I won't show you where the other one is. That is not true.
That is not true.
That is absolutely not true.
So we're very happy that we decided to do something and we just did it, and
we went for
it and it worked, and we're very happy with the outcome. So we'll definitely tag this guy Bob at Burning Sparrow Tattoo in the Oak Park area, west suburbs of Chicago. Very good.
And I will have to take some more pictures when it
definitely
settles down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it was great, and I'm definitely glad we did it. The artwork is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really tell so much from this kind of angle because of I don't want to have to stand up.
Yeah.
It's been a long day already.
Yeah, we're taking it easy now.
Yeah.
But we'll show some pictures at the end of some of the pictures that we took during it, and he was totally fine with us taking pictures.
Yeah.
So that worked out good. We are happy that we got to share with you our exciting day.
It was an exciting day.
It was a very exciting day, and we're just going to chillax the rest of the evening and enjoy our pictures. And if you've got tattoos or if you don't, let us know in the comments. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of the night. Bye.
So how's it going?
So far, so good. It's not as bad as I thought.
Awesome. Will you hold my hand?
Yeah.
Okay.